I have like the weirdest angle and lighting going on, so I sincerely apologize, but yeah. Hi, my name is Katz, or the Fair Librarian, and welcome to a new reading vlog. It is Thursday, May 1st, and so the start of Escape the Readathon. I literally just woke up. Like, we're in my bed. My hair is a mess. And I'm wearing my pajamas. I literally, yeah. I just woke up. So, but I wanted to start of the month strong, start of the readathon strong, with like an easy win, which will give me some, I think it's motivating. Like if you've already achieved something in your life, then, it goes a little bit easier. So I'm actually going to start right now with Pardalita by Joana Estrela, which is a YA graphic novel. It's originally written in Portuguese. It's like a YA coming of age, queer awakening romance type of deal, I think. Like you know the genre that I'm talking about. So books that are like similar to like Love Simon slash Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, because that's the same book. Well, book movie combo. Like things similar to that, I think is going to be this. Or like Heartstopper type of vibes. So yeah, that is what I'm gonna start off my month with. I my plan for May is just to mood read my way through and then worry what prompt books fit for once I finish them. So yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. Um, really excited. I hadn't actually heard about this book until last month. But then for Magical Readathon, and it was like a prompt with a random country generator, and they say like go up to 5 times and then pick what country, and the fifth one I got was Portugal. And so for each of the countries I looked up some books and this came up, and I ended up going with another country, which was the Bahamas, which was the third country I got. But I this popped up on my radar, and so I decided to read it now, instead of just waiting forever and ever to get to it. So I'm gonna be starting this. Happy May, happy Escape the Readathon. It is May 1st is a holiday where I live, so I have the entire day off. Now I do need to get some uni work done because I'm very behind. So I can't read all day, but I would like to finish two books. The first one being Pardalita, the second one being a book that I'm not going to talk about too much in this video because I'm reading it for a different vlog, and that is Stay With Me by Oyebami Adebayo. I'm 41% into that one, but as long as you read more than 50% in May, you can still count it. So, or otherwise, you can count the amount of pages that you read in May, because you can log a book either for prompt or for pages. And I have like 140 pages left in that one, so I do think I'll be able to finish it today as well. But I also need to like write a chapter for my bachelor's thesis because it's crying. So yeah, ambitious goals, but we're gonna try to achieve them, and I'm gonna start off my day with Pardalita. So I will talk to you once I finish that. Bye. Okay, so we're a little bit later. I am up. I got ready, and I finished Pardalita. And I really, really enjoyed this. I'm actually quite surprised. I went into this book thinking that, like, I would enjoy it. I would have a good time with this. But I didn't expect that this would be a book that would, like, stand out in any meaningful way, or that would really stick with me. Just, like, a good, like, fun graphic novel to start my day with, which is what I, like, it's not a bad thing. I like, like, not every book has to be a favorite. But it really surprised me in a positive way. So we are following a girl called Raquel, and it's a very slice of life story. She lives in this town in Portugal, and just a teenager, like going to school with her friends, and she has this queer awakening with a girl called Pardalita, who she doesn't really know very much at the beginning of the book, but like she has seen her, and you know, she's kind of like into her, and it's really cute. So the formatting of this is quite interesting, because like sometimes you would have pages like this where it's like just a full image with like a little teeny tiny bit of text, and then sometimes you just have only text, and then you also have like the regular like comic strips type of deal. So it's like very much a mixture of that, which is really interesting. I really like the way it was told. It felt quite literary in a way. It uses a lot of how do I say this? So at the beginning we have her in English class, and she got a list of like irregular verbs. So we're like the past tense is not just the present plus ed. So verbs like see, and they have like saw and seen, like go, and they have went and gone, you know, like verbs like that. And she just got the list that she has to learn by heart, which I remember that from my old English class, that just like the teacher one day walked in with like this huge ass list that there was like no end to it, and it's like, learn this by heart by this date, okay, let's get on. And we're like, excuse me, what? It was like 4 columns: present, past, and then past participle, and then like the Dutch translation. And it's just like just cram it in your head and we're good to go. And I have such a vivid memory of that moment. It's in this book, which I thought was a very funny like thing of like recognition. And so a lot of the written bits, like for example, we have one here where she can't sleep, and so it just ends with sleep, slept, slept. Or like there's one that she's gonna talk to someone, and it ends with speak, spoke, spoken, and like those like lines of the regular verbs, which I think is very interesting, and I really liked that choice. So yeah, I don't know if this book, the English translation, how that would come across necessarily, because then you have like the entire text in English and then the English verb. But now, because originally in Portuguese, and there's now that I'm writing in Dutch within that English, it's like really clear what it's doing there, which I think is very interesting. It has theater in it as well, because Pardalita is like in local theater group, and so Raquel is kind of like into it. And as a theater kid myself, I mean, I never, like as a child, I never had really the opportunity to pursue that much, but I always loved it and I always wanted to. And if at school, like for example, sometimes in Dutch class, then we had an assignment to like read a story out loud, and like I was into that because I was doing the voices, I really liked it. So yeah. I always wanted to. I never really had the opportunities where I lived to pursue it that much. But now that I'm in uni, I can, and I'm living my best life. Anyway, as a theater lover and player, and just I relive it. I liked those scenes. I liked those moments. They were a lot of fun. I also liked, there's a lot of references to ancient Greek literature. We have the story of Hero and Leander, which is in here. We have references to Sappho and Alcaios, which is always fun. Also, just I love it. I like poetry in here. Yeah, I really liked the way that this was told, and there are certain written bits, like there is one that in Dutch it's wat als ik het ben, so like it means something like what if it's me. I don't know what the exact title of this thing is, which is like this poem about her sort of coming to grips with the fact that she may be in love with Pardalita, or at least like romantically interested in Pardalita, which I really liked that little poem thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I had a great time with it. I thought this would be a little bit like similar to like something like Heartstopper, which is not exactly the comp I would give. I think like not that it's like completely different from it, but it's not to the extent that I thought it would be, because it does have that much more literary quality to it. So yeah, if you want a more literary version of like Heartstopper or Love, Simon, something like that, just like a more poetic almost version, I think that this could be an option for you. I really enjoyed it. There were also like sometimes these very like abstract images. I'm trying to find one. So like why can't I find? So like you start with people like dancing, and as the pages go on, it becomes, this is so hard, oh my gosh, it becomes more and more abstract until you're just like left with like lines. And I just think that there's a couple of instances like that that I think are a lot of fun and a lot of interesting. Very interesting. So yeah, I really like this book. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars just because it doesn't have like quite that 5-star vibe. But I give it like at least a 4, maybe a 4.5. I'll think about it as I always do before I really rate my books or write my review for books. But I had a fantastic time reading this, and I think it's really good, and I really recommend it. And I'm glad that I started off May with this book because it was a very strong start. So that is Pardalita. Right now, I think, I don't know if the coffee shop's open, but I'm gonna look because I'm kind of, the thing is their website says it is, but I don't think it actually is. I just, it seems odd to me if it would. Like I don't believe them. I don't believe their website. But I'm gonna look because I'm kind of craving a vanilla latte. I'm not entirely sure if I want like a warm one or an iced one, but I'm just gonna embrace my basic white girlness and go get a vanilla latte. I will take my laptop with me because like the weather is really nice, and so maybe I can write a little bit of my, do a little like uni work outside. Hopefully, we'll see. The annoying thing is the library, like the university library, is closed today for this holiday, but there is like one paper that I need to write, which is due relatively soon, and I'm kind of getting a little bit nervous for it. But in order to I've gotten to a point where in order to be able to continue, I need one particular book. But in order to be able to read that book, I need like to go to the library because they only have like a physical copy of it. So yeah, and that's a little annoying. And Thursday is like usually the day that I don't have a lot of classes. So like usually Thursday is like the day that I would work on that paper, or like on papers in general, and like just sit at the library all day long to read stuff. But now it's closed and I'm getting nervous for it. So yeah, that's gonna be a thing for tomorrow, but tomorrow I have a lot to do. It's difficult. I think maybe because, hi, if you don't know me, I'm Belgian and I'm in a Belgian university, Flemish university more specifically, and a very Flemish thing to do if you're in university is to just go home to your parents' house in the weekends, which is why also my vlogs never include clips that are filmed during the weekend, because I don't want to film there. But so maybe, usually, like whatever your last class of the week is, like right after that, you just take the train home. I think maybe I can stay like a couple of hours longer and then just go to the library and try to read it after my last class, and then like take the train in the evening instead of the afternoon. I think I'm gonna do that because otherwise I think I'll get in trouble with this paper. So now that I've told you all sorts of stuff today you don't need to know, I am gonna go get my coffee and try to write another paper or do something else. I'm not sure exactly what yet, but yeah, I'll talk to you when I have more updates on any reading that I do, like once I've chosen what book I'm gonna read next probably. So yeah, bye. Hi, so we're a little bit later and as I said, I went to the coffee shop and it was closed. I told you because I knew that the website would be lying to me. It was closed. So I was like, okay, I can just like sit in the park and do some work. I didn't end up sitting in the park. I ended up, there's a square with a fountain. And so I ended up just sitting next to the fountain, which was nice. And there were like children playing in the fountain. And yeah, it was kind of fun. So I sat there for a little while. I wrote some of my thesis, and look, I have all my notes for it. And the thing that I'm now having to do is just, you know, like going from like the unstructured bullet points that are my notes to like a coherent, structured text where like arguments follow each other logically. That's basically what I'm doing. But so everything, like the content of what I want to say is like already all there. Like I already have it all. I just need to, you know, put it in like a decent form. But then I was writing it and I had this sudden realization, and so I was able to include it. And I just feel really smart about it because like, I don't know, I just connected some dots and it was really satisfying. So I'm really happy. I'm really pleased with that. I feel like I have done quite a bit of progress on that paper, which is really nice. But I also have, well, I haven't read more, but I want to talk to you about reading because first of all, I realized that I never even told you what prompt I used Pardalita for. And after reading it, I realized that it didn't really fit most of the prompts. Like the only prompt that it actually fit was The Arcade, which is a book that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, like an underhyped book.
And I feel like this doesn't really fit that because I haven't heard anyone talk about it. Like I already said, that it's just because of Magical Readathon that I discovered this even exists. So I think it definitely works for the arcade. But yeah, that meant that it was like kind of a little, you know, I went a little bit against team strategy because I don't know if I can't remember if I told you at the beginning of the vlog, but I am part of Teen Detectives, which the team leaders for the detectives are Tori from Tori Between the Pages and Alexis from Alexis Fully Booked. I will link both of them, as well as Lexi, Books with Lexi, who created this whole readathon. Of course, I'll put all of them in the description. But we had the strategy to, as a team, as a collective, focus on one room at a time. And I mean, it's not like mandatory. Like, if you really want to read a book that doesn't fit the prompt for that room, like, you know, like you can read it, but just that we as a team have sort of this focus on. And the first room that we're going to focus on is the theater, which is a popcorn read. And I don't think that Pardalita is that. I think that Pardalita is a little bit too literary in order to be a popcorn read, and a little bit too like artsy. I don't know. I feel like a popcorn read is more like turn your brain off, like fast-paced, page turner, like thriller. And so that brings me with the next book that I'm going to start, because I am going to be a good detective now and just follow the team strategy. And I'm going to read We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver, which is a horror thriller that I've heard so many people talking about it and so many people gushing about it. And I have FOMO and I want to give it a go. So I think this will be very fast-paced and page-turnery, and that is really what I want from a popcorn read. So yeah, I think that this will be a lot of fun. So that is the next book that I'm going to be reading. I probably won't be able to finish this today or even tomorrow, but I hope on Saturday. So yeah. But as I was going through the books that I want to read this month, I saw 2 books that I'm like, maybe I should tackle that strategically, starting them in time, because they're both like types of books that I tend to read slower. So the first one is Peterburg Tales by Nikolai Gogol, which is a short story collection. And what I usually do is like I read like a story a day, usually, until I finish the collection. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories. So that's like a week worth of a story a day. But some of these short stories are decently long. So, I mean, they're not like insane or anything, but like there's some that are like 50 pages, which for me personally, and my taste for a short story is like, I feel like my sweet spot for a short story is more like 20, 25 pages. So it's not that's bad. It's just, you know, like if I see a 50-page short story, I'm like, okay, that's like a decent length short story. So yeah, but I'm gonna have to start this at some point and get going, especially also because it's like a Russian classic, which means, you know, that like the writing style will probably be a little bit more, require a little bit more brain, I shall say. So I'm going to try and start this today, or read like the first story of this today. Or if I don't start this, then at least start the other one, which is Everyday Utopia by Kristen Argotzi, which is a nonfiction. And so I'd like to be able to sort of like chip away at this throughout the month. It has 8 chapters, so I could maybe also try it like one a day. There's a lot of, it's actually a lot shorter than it seems, because if we take away like all like the footnotes and stuff, and like the actual like book is only up until like here, like this, and this is all like the acknowledgements and index and footnotes and then stuff, which are important of course, but like it makes it feel a little bit more, you know. But it's 8 chapters, so I think that this could also be like a one a day type of thing potentially, because if I look at just like the table of contents and like the page numbers that them each start with, like I think in terms of length they're pretty bite-size chunks, each of the chapters. So yeah, we'll see how this ends up going. It really depends on what the writing is like, how dense it is, how, you know, like that'll really determine how I tackle this. But I also don't want to wait too long with this. And both of these would work for the Gym and Spa, which is a book that you keep putting off. So that is definitely a room that I wanted to, I don't know if focus on is the right word, but definitely read a couple of things for, because if it's books that I keep putting off, it's nice to have that little bit of extra motivation, because if I don't read them, I might just keep putting them off, because but now like I have this extra like push to get to them. So I will probably also start one of these two. I'm not entirely sure which one yet. It'll depend on my mood, but these will be ones that I'll be slowly reading in the background, and then We Used to Live Here will be my focus, I guess. So now that that long-winded ramble is out of the way, I think I am going to first drink some water because I'm feeling a little bit dehydrated. It's really hot out. The reason I left, like I was sitting next to a fountain and it was really nice for a little while, but it just like the sun just became too intense with like how warm it is today. Like it's insane. Like it's like warm for a summer day, but it's the beginning of May, so yeah. But I'm not complaining generally, but just at the place where I was sitting, it got a little bit too warm. So I moved. But I think I'm going to definitely have to drink some water and then probably do some more uni work. And then I can look forward to reading We Used to Live Here when I take a break. So yeah, that is the plans. I will talk to you. I don't think I'll be talking to you today anymore, because I don't know how far I'll get in We Used to Live Here, because I also have that other book for the other vlog that I'm still reading, that I would like to finish really soon. So it'll really depend on how quickly this reads, to be honest, and how much I get sucked in to it, whether I'll be able to update and like how much I have to say about it. But so yeah, I'm glad that I've been productive today, because the past week hasn't been very productive. So yeah, I'm gonna get going. Bye. Hi, it is Tuesday already. I did not do a lot of reading since we last spoke. I did barely any, to be quite honest.
So I need to get going because by this time the theater has already opened for Escape to Readathon, and the game is over since this morning, or at least I saw the message this morning, like since somewhere throughout the night. So I need something different. The room that we decided to focus on next was the gym and spa, so that's the book that we've been putting off. So I'm going to change my plan slightly. Instead of We Used to Live Here, I'm gonna read a different book because I'm also more in the mood for the thing than for We Used to Live Here right now. So, I'll do that. But first, I'm gonna say that I'm going to start Peterburg Tales by Nikolai Gogol, which is a short story collection. So I can read a story a day and then finish it whenever I finish it. So that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to read the first one today and then hopefully finish it next week. But I need to get going with this if I want to start it at some point. So that is the first thing I'm gonna read when I stop filming this clip. And then the other thing, I was kind of in the mood. I don't know. My mood is either contemporary romance or like high political fantasy. So I decided to go with Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, which is a contemporary romance. It is sapphic. I have read the second book in the series and really loved it, so I'm gonna try to read this. Both of this and Peterburg Tales kind of work for the gym and spa, so that's good. This one also doesn't show up as purple on camera. If my blouse is purple, it's not a perfect match, but like both purple, so I think it kind of matches my outfit as well. So, yeah. And her glasses are like kind of resembling mine, I guess. Like shape and stuff. So, yeah, I'm gonna say that this counts for the dining room as well in case I don't finish it in time to submit it for the gym and spa. But so, yeah, those are the two things I'm going to start. Well, first, the first story in Peterburg Tales, and I will update you once I finish that. But so, yeah, I am excited to get reading, and I will talk to you once I've read something. Bye.
Hi, hello. It is Sunday, the 11th of May, and of course, right when I start filming, they're gonna be loud outside. Okay, it is Sunday, the 11th of May. I have been terrible at vlogging. I've not been updating. I'd actually contemplated just not doing this video at all, like just deleting the footage that I already had and just pretend it never existed. Because I've been so overwhelmed with uni work. Like, we're nearing the end of the semester. There's 2 weeks left, and then exams start. So there's still a lot that needs to happen before then. Like, I have quite a few deadlines before then, that are suddenly just all popping up, and it's overwhelming. So that's why I haven't been reading a ton, and so I also haven't been really filming. But I don't know. I'm suddenly just having a lot of energy, like a lot more than I've had in quite a while, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna hope it stays that way. But so I was like, okay, no, I'm just gonna film a final clip for this vlog, finish it off, tell you what I've been up to in the meantime, and then I can start a new vlog and just start afresh and hope that that vlog will go a little bit better, a little more consistently, and yeah. So, last time we spoke, I think I told you I was going to start We Used to Live Here and Peterburg Tales. I'm not sure if that's correct. But I didn't end up starting We Used to Live Here. I didn't actually end up starting like a novel. The only thing I started was Peterburg Tales, so I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I still want to read We Used to Live Here. And I'm still going to probably this month, but it just hasn't happened yet. What I have started is, as I said, Peterburg Tales. I've read the first story, and I quite enjoyed it. It is about this street in St. Peterburg where, like, it's just a very, like, known and busy street, and two men are just walking there, and they each see a woman, and they decide, how about I'm just gonna be an absolute creep and follow this woman to her house. And so they do, and I don't know, it's a little weird what happens then. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it gets weird. But that is basically the story. The plot of it wasn't that interesting to me, but I really liked the writing. We start off with this, like, really, really long description of this street and just kind of people watching almost. There about, like, all the types of people that you can see passing through it, and the voice has this very, like, witty sarcasm to it, which I really liked, and so I hope that the other series I'm gonna have that as well. But so yeah, it's a Russian classic, so the writing style, it's not one that you can just breeze through. It requires you to pay a little bit more attention. But I really, really liked the writing in this book, and I really liked just how it went. And I'm excited to continue in the collection. So, off to a good start with that. And then I continued a book that I don't think I've actually mentioned in this log, but I already started in April, and I just needed to finish it. And that is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, which is the sequel to Strange Dreamer. It's a duology, so I just finished the series, which is always nice. So I finished this last night, and so let me tell you what Strange Dreamer is about. It's about a man called Laszlo Strange, and he works at this library archive thing, and there is this, like, mythical city that he heard stories about as a child, and he is convinced that the city exists. He knows it as Weep, but he also knows that it's not the actual name, because at one point, suddenly, everyone in the world forgot the name of the city, all at the same time. And he remembers that he remembered it at some point, and then suddenly forgot, but it can't remember what the name is. So he knows it as Weep, and he is determined to discover as much as he can about Weep, to go to the city, if possible, perhaps. And then he gets a chance to do that, and things go from there. So yeah, the first book is very beautiful. The series is kind of known for its very lyrical writing style. I think that aspect is kind of overstated. Like, the writing is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but, like, it's not that. Like, I think people make it out to be a lot more, like, flowery and lyrical than it is. Like, I think it's still pretty easy to tell what's going on at all times, which some people act as if it isn't. So yeah, but we follow Laszlo, and there's another POV that I'm not gonna say who it is, because she comes in a little bit later into the first book. But yeah, this book picks up pretty much exactly where the first left off, and the first half of it I really liked. The first half is very much like the first book. So, like, the writing, I like the characters, the themes, the slow enrollment of, that's not the right word. Is it? It's not. I don't think it is. But progression of the plot. So yeah, I really enjoyed the first half, but for some reason it just didn't hook me. Like, I could put this book down and not think about it for 2 weeks, which is why it took me too long to read it. Like, it was just so easy to prioritize other books over this one. And so, like, you know, that's kind of a pity because, you know, if I'm reading this book, I want to be reading this book. But it's due in the library tomorrow, so it was like, I need to finish it. So I just focused on this during this weekend, and I did finish it. The second half, it kind of took a turn. It kind of felt to me as if the author suddenly realized that she was writing a duology and that she didn't want to make it a trilogy. She wanted to make it a duology, but she was already halfway through the second book, and she just had all this story left to tell and to wrap up. And I mean, a little before that, I was like, how is she going to wrap up the story with only half a book left? Answer: she's just gonna throw all the reveals and world building and character background and revelations and just plot stuff at you, like, all at once. And it just felt like such whiplash because the series up until that point had been so, like, slow moving and very character focused and just, you know. And so I didn't like that. I was like, I don't want to just be, I just don't want you to just throw everything into my face all at once. I want to uncover this at the pacing that we've been going at. So yeah, but then the ending was kind of beautiful again, and it kind of pulled on my heartstrings, and now I don't know what to do with this book. Like, I don't know how I feel about this book. I have no clue how to rate this book, because every single rating feels kind of wrong, and I think that if I get away from this for like a little bit, if I, you know, like in a day or two, write my review, I think that like the emotions of the final couple chapters will sort of, you know, the first emotion will have left me, and I think I'll settle on like a 3. Probably somewhere in there. And I'm so sad because I really enjoyed the first one. And I really enjoyed parts of this. But then there were other parts that, yeah, I don't know. Also, a thing that this book does, that Readathon by Neil Stephenson also did, and those are the only 2 books that I can think of that I've read that do this, but I discovered that I'm not a huge fan of it, is when it is set in a fictional world, and then suddenly there is like a reference to our world existing, and this fictional world is like almost exactly our world, but not quite. I don't love that. I am not a huge fan of when that happens. I've discovered through reading this book. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but I'm just like, can you just keep it just all fantasy or something? I don't know. It kind of pulls me out, I guess. So yeah, that's my biggest problem is like either you set your book in our world, like you can do that. You could have a book that is set in our world. That is fine for me. You could have a portal fantasy. I'm fine with a portal fantasy. But that is not what this is. It's just like a very brief mention of Earth existing. And I don't like it. I found. Which is a very, very specific thing to not like. But I've encountered it in 2 books now. And yeah, I don't know. That is Muse of Nightmares. I feel like this review is a hot mess, but my thoughts of this are a hot mess too. So, I guess it's accurate. I have submitted this we're in a game. I don't know if I've told you, but also since we've last spoken, I haven't actually finished anything else in that time, but as a team, we have completed the theater, completed the game that was within the theater, and opened a second room. So I've submitted this for a game for that room, and there were 4 paths that you could take. And for one of the paths, the prompt was a book where the cover has a color that you don't like. And I'm very much not an orange person. So I submitted this for that. There were other paths that this could technically work for, but I decided to go with that because I don't like orange in this color. It's very orange. So that was what I've read. I've actually started another book, but I think I'm not going to tell you about that in this vlog because I think I'm just going to end the vlog here and then start the next vlog with saying that I've started that book. I think that feels kind of satisfying, right? So that was a vlog, I guess. I don't know, it was a weird one. My life has been weird. But so I hope you enjoyed this vlog somehow. If you've read any of the books that I have read, which are, I started with Pardalita, then I read the first story in Peterburg Tales, and then I read Muse of Nightmares. I think that's everything I read in this video. If you've read any of those, you can let me know what you thought about them. And you can also let me know what you've read in the past week. I would love to know. And I will talk to you somewhere in my next video. Bye!